I'm Bill Donahue. I'm here with Henry Cloud and John Townsend.
Hi.
And we have been working with small groups, I guess, for lots of years, and we're excited.
Centuries.
How long
Centuries,
would you
Bill.
say, Henry?
Millennia.
Yeah.
Millennia.
Yeah.
I mean,
Since time began.
it's unbelievable the amount of wisdom Henry has and age that John has.
Hey. But we love groups. We believe in groups.
We love groups. We believe in
glad
them.
that
We're
you're here.
members, and we lead groups. And we're excited that you've decided to come together and use this material to help you maybe take a next step, either as a new group or as an existing group that's trying to become a better community together.
Yeah, and it's going to be a different kind of DVD experience probably than you've ever had, because we're going to hang out with you for the first 4 sessions, or the next 4, and we're just going to help you walk through becoming a group, because we think that becoming a group is a process, and there's specific things that you can do that'll help you do that.
So we want to be kind of a partner, coach along the way, and guide you in the process. And let's get started with
Tell them about the clip.
the clip.
They got a video I'm going to see.
We're going to show you a video clip with some people talking about their experience with small groups and their experience with relationships and their desire and hunger for community, or maybe some of the challenges they faced when they said, I want to connect and I want to grow, but for some reason it's not working, or I hit a wall.
Just like you might have the same kind of questions or thoughts or feelings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so see if you can identify with any of these comments.
And we'll be back in a few minutes.
I believe in small group life to the core of who I am. It has changed my life.
Small group's an opportunity for us to connect in the kind of relationship that in our culture doesn't experience as much anymore, and gives an opportunity to be real intentional about growing in our walk with God.
The other benefit of it is being able to ask those questions that you wouldn't typically ask about God in a larger setting.
Like I hear a good message, it's challenging, it's thought-provoking. It's not really the time for me to raise my hand and go, I have a question. But when it comes to a group, it gives me a chance to hear what God's doing in other people's lives.
It's a way of sharing and getting feedback as opposed to being on an island by yourself.
Part of being in a small group means that it's going to get messy relationally. I think because people are people and they all have different personalities and different quirks.
One of the challenges that I've experienced a number of times is with commitment. You have people who say they want to be a part of the group, and they even express expectations of what they want to get out of it, and yet don't put the time or commitment into participating.
One of the young women in the group started to really share deeply out of her life and started to open up in ways that really amazed me, because it was such a deeper place than she'd ever been willing to go before. And I watched the group immediately jump in and start trying to tell her what to do and giving her advice and fixing things. And I watched her heart open and shut. She shut down.
I'm remembering one couple who dominated the conversation regularly. The quieter people weren't going to speak unless they were given the opportunity to, or somebody asked them a question. As time went on, it got more and more challenging to the point where people, especially the quiet people, stopped showing up for the group because it wasn't really meeting their needs. They weren't getting the chance to share what was going on in their lives or even participate in the discussion.
Small group life can be messy. What we hope to do is navigate through the messiness well together, and I think that's what God uses. Where I see people grow is when there's those relational tensions or conflict, or where we have those tough conversations, or when we hit a point where we do want to move in different directions and we navigate that together.
Knowing that there are people there for me that I can go to, whatever the case may be, is just so reassuring in life and in my walk with Christ.
There are people in our lives that trusted us, believed in us, provided for us. I can remember there were times when we were so dirt poor. It was a group that came around us and bought us a refrigerator, gave us food. They were at the hospital when our children were born. I can remember never receiving a doctor bill one year when one of our sons was born. There was a leader in my life that would get up and pray for our family at 4 o'clock in the morning. For a whole year, that was his commitment to us. There was one group that taught us how to pray together as a family, and we still have the basket today of prayer requests, rocks in a basket, and on the lid of the basket, when you open it up, there's all the prayer requests and when they were answered. And when I think of my son praying for a tricycle and God providing that through that small group, It's just life-changing.
Well, you can see from those clips that groups can either tap into a lot of hopes that get disappointed or have some amazing kinds of things that happen in people's lives.
Absolutely.
It's really powerful.
Or people get afraid of some things and have some nightmare experiences, so it's kind of all across the board.
Right.
But groups can really change people's lives, and that's the exciting thing about this. When you really do come together in kind of the sense of community that God's created us for, it can shape us.
We were created for community, and you know, a lot of times when you think about going to church and reading the Bible and studying the Bible, if you look at the New Testament, for example, some huge percentage of all the verses in there, if you just counted them, you can't even do them on Sunday morning. You know,
they require something
exactly.
else,
They require a context like a small group to do.
Yeah, it's kind of like in church, all the chairs are facing forward.
Right.
In your small group, we're all facing each other, so we're eyeball to eyeball.
Yeah, if you just pick one verse, like James 5:16 says, confess your faults to one another.
That's a long
How
list.
do you do that on Sunday morning? You
in
can't.
a safe place.
Yeah, you got to get in a small group.
What do you do?
So-
Say, let's go down the hall and do that to each other right now. I mean, it'd be like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not
Well,
ready
so
for that.
that's
you
why
can do a public kind of.
we
formal.
want you to confess your faults to everybody. We have time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's only two. So
Denial and what else?
knowing you.
That's good.
We really do need each other. Pray for one another, encourage one another, exhort one another, grieve with one another. You know, I mean, the Bible's got 25 or more of these expressions that require a community to be together.
And that's why we're excited about your becoming that kind of community that can share your lives and help grow each other and teach each other and comfort each other. And it's going to be a great experience.
So now we've got your first activity of this whole series, and it's going to be a very basic, easy one to do. We want you to just go around, share your name if you don't know names. If you do know names, you don't have to
Now,
do
if they've
that.
been meeting for a year and they don't know names, is that an issue?
Could be a problem.
That's a problem group. Yeah.
Okay.
But-
should they call you?
Yeah.
Okay. Call Henry if you've been meeting for a year and you don't know each other's names.
Yeah.
What we're going to do now, though, is when you do that, we want you just to share what your responses were to those interviews and like what you resonated with, what made sense, what kind of things do you long for and want to see in group. And so it's going to take you, what, maybe 10 minutes
10
or
minutes,
so?
Yeah.
Kind of
Spend
brief.
about 10 minutes and come back.
Okay.
We'll see
See
you
you on
in
the
10.
other side.
Hey, we hope that was a good first kind of connect for you, beginning to tell a little bit about what you resonated with in your own story toward this idea of small group community and what it means and where you want to grow or whatever came out of that.
We hope you still like each other.
Yeah.
We hope it's kind of more safe now, not to just talk about the material you'll be studying, but to be able to be more comfortable with each other, more able to be open.
Yeah, and underlying all of this is not just some fad or habit. I mean, I think some churches or people get into groups thinking it's kind of a new thing, let's just try that. And I can appreciate that, but people don't realize there's an underlying sort of biblical basis for this, that God designed this, as we said, for community, but is there really a theology of it that leads into group life? And there is.
Yeah. You know, when I first came to faith in a meaningful way in college, I was
Was that like
depressed.
a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it was like, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I was really, really depressed. My life was over, I thought, at the age of 20, and I lost my dreams, and just everything was bad. And so I decided I was going to give my life to God. So I walk into church one day, Sunday afternoon, the church is empty. I walked down to the altar, and I really took a faith step, and I just cried out to God. I said, God, if you're there, help me.
So you went there thinking, God's in the church, He's in this building.
Yeah,
and
God
he's
lives here. This is His house, right? But what I thought was, because I had seen it on TV, God zaps people. And I was really depressed. And I thought, if I turn to God, He's going to zap me and I was going to feel something.
And then you saw that as normal. I mean, you thought if I was supposed to feel God in my life, it was going to be this.
Yeah, if you have a God moment, shouldn't God
Should you fall
do
down or
something,
something?
right?
Yeah.
Well, nothing happens. And so I'm sitting there thinking, well, God, call me, help. And so I go back to my dorm room and the phone rings. A little while later.
But it wasn't, hello, this is God.
Like Bill Cosby or somebody. But I really, thought maybe this is it. And so it's a friend of mine who calls me. And he says, I don't know why I thought of you, but I did. He said, you were on my mind, and I thought I would invite you. He said, we're starting a small group Bible study at the fraternity house. Would you like to come?
And this is a defining moment.
Right
here.
after I had prayed.
So you're paying attention to this.
Yeah, maybe this is God.
Yeah.
And I actually thought, well, I'll go to this small group and get zapped. You know, that's where God will get me. So I go to this small group and I start to share, and we're going through this curriculum, and you're talking about your hurts in life and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, where's the zapping, you know? So I go to the leader, who was a seminary student, and I said, you know, I'm really depressed, and I thought God was going to help me. And I'll never forget this. You know what he says? He says, well, God uses people too.
And I was like, that sounded lame.
That was the cheesiest comment I had ever, you know, it's like, God uses people. I want my zapping, man.
Yeah, this is supernatural. Let's make the supernatural happen.
Exactly. So I get to hang out.
I mean, you must have still been disappointed.
I was totally disappointed, but I didn't have any other choices, so I just stayed in the group, right? Well, we're going as the weeks go on and they turn into months, and we're sharing, and, you know, I'm learning all this stuff, and I'm opening up and all this, you know, kind of process. Well, about a year later, I'll never forget this. I wake up one morning and I looked up at the sky and I said to God, I go, you know, God, I'm not depressed anymore.
Huh.
And I was kind of reviewing my life, and it had meaning, and I found, you know, some gifts that the group had encouraged me in. I was starting to grow in those areas, and I was thinking, my life is really good now. And then I had this thought. I said to God, but I wish you had done it. Like I never
so
got
you still had that agenda that if this was really God, I would still feel something that was just
It's like I knew that the group had helped, but I wish God had zapped me. So I'm still thinking I got plan B, right? Well, then something happened. Shortly thereafter, I'm reading through the New Testament. I come across two verses. In fact, we have them down here. I'm going to read them to you. Ephesians 4:16 said this, from him, meaning God, the whole body, now that was my group, right? The body of Christ, joined and held together by each supporting ligament, grows, and get this phrase, builds itself up in love as each part does its work.
And see, to me, I remember when I first read that verse, it sounded almost like heresy. It was like, oh, we're building ourselves up. Doesn't God do all that?
Right.
And of course, God is doing that, but we don't see him doing it to each other.
Exactly, that he was doing this through the group. And then even a more direct one, it says this in 1 Peter 4:10. Each one should use whatever gift he has, or whatever gift he's received, to serve others. Now get this phrase, faithfully administering God's grace in its various forms. And I thought, wait a minute, the group, in using their gifts of sharing and confronting and supporting and all this, they were administering God's grace. So he was giving me the zapping that I was looking for through the group members.
So you're not on plan B, you're on plan A.
Yeah.
And how many times have you or I or anybody maybe you've prayed for God's grace? You want more of his grace, more of his mercy, more of his love, and saying, God, give it to me. And he's sending people probably in our
Sounds like
path.
a song. If you could just sing that, it'd be great.
That would be good.
But we kind of
look over. Me to sing it,
we
though.
look over people's heads and say, "You're really nice, but I want God." And God sent the people.
Yeah. We say it's kind of that thing that happens sometimes when people say, you know, it's nice that you prayed for me, but if I could really get the pastor to pray for me, that would be better. It's almost like that same kind of thing, that he couldn't possibly use normal human beings to bring me his grace and his transformation. It's just not in our wiring to think that way. But as you said, it's his plan. It's his plan.
You've got a favorite verse too.
Yeah, I love John 17. I love Jesus' prayer when he is calling out before the Father. He's facing crucifixion, and he's saying, you know, God, this is my desire for my church. And basically the bottom line, if you read much of that passage, is that we would all be one in community and oneness, just as he and the Father are one. That there would be this unity and there's this oneness, this coming together. So it's not just that we grow through relationships to God, but we grow in relationships with one another, and that's part of plan A too, that we would become this body. We want that to happen for you. We want you to become the kind of community that lives in the oneness, that experiences Jesus together as a community, and then out of the overflow of that, you touch lives around you.
Yeah, and if you could get a vision for your small group, not just being another add-on activity or something, you know, that the hip churches do, and you want to be in a small group, but that it's actually a place where God's plan for you to grow, for your relationships to be healed, for you to learn all about him, for you to learn about each other, for you to develop your gifts and your talents. If you could see it the way the New Testament talks about it, you could get a whole new vision, and your small group could become something that you never would have imagined.
Because it's really all about spiritual growth, whether it's a Bible study or a parenting group or a dating group or a singles group or whatever, it's really all about spiritual growth. you know, the relationship this way and this way.
But you guys have often taught, because I've read some of your stuff and obviously listened to you teach.
What about changing your life as a basis of it?
Yeah,
and you're supposed to read it and put it into
It's supposed
practice.
to happen too, Bill.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it fills my library out great, and it's holding a couple windows up in my house, really nice. But no, actually, you really have. You've got this underlying, if you will, theology or process, and it's about grace and truth and time. Or, I mean, tell these guys about
the three big elements, and you're going to find them in your group. We're going to be talking to you about them all through this the series. First off is God's grace, and it comes, like Henry said, through his own experience through people. But grace is the fact that God is for you. He's on your side, and it comes in so many different ways.
And it's unconditional.
Yeah, it is something you didn't earn, and it's just the fact that He and people are on your side.
Let me just, I mean, again, I think people are listening to us talk, and I know we've all felt this at some level. Can we really believe? Is God really for us? I mean, there's a sense of He's always there with a bat. It might be hidden behind His back, but is He really for us? Is He looking for us to stumble so He can whack us? And I think some people come out of a background that was emphasized. So grace is going to be important to your community.
And I can't tell you how many times I've seen people's lives literally changed because their small group was the first place that they ever experienced anybody really being for them. You know, they come from backgrounds or families where everything was against them, or abuse or criticism or whatever it was. And this small group was the place that they met God's grace for the first time.
So that's grace. There's another component?
Well, then there's just truth, and truth in all its various forms. Truth is reality. It's what is, and it can come through whatever material you're studying in your guidebooks and that sort of thing, but also it comes from each other.
Yeah. So people pick up a Bible, and that's important to have Bible study as a group and to maybe engage with scriptures we've talked about already. We've referenced some scripture, and that's a source of truth. It's our ultimate source of truth, but people don't often see that they can kind of speak the truth about each other.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen so many small groups happen where someone was able to say to somebody else, I see something in you, a strength or whatever, and people never even knew they had those things because they told the truth.
A gift or a strength.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in fact, 1 Peter 4 says, when you speak as if you were speaking the very words of God. And so your small group may be one of the most significant places God speaks to you.
Back up on that, because...
you want me to read it to you?
No, I'm serious. This is a... I know I feel that, and I've been walking with God for a long time, and I understand that theology. We've talked about it. But it makes me go back to the time when I first heard me speaking the very words of God.
Yeah.
That's like, no, that's... the heresy flag goes up. Like,
I know.
Humans can't do that. Only God can do that. It almost feels like we're demeaning God to say that, but it's right there.
It is the theology of the church. And, you know, over and over throughout the scriptures, like if you go to Proverbs, and it talks so much about how the wise person receives correction and receives instruction from other people, and the fool doesn't. I mean, just all the way through the scriptures.
People everywhere, absolutely.
And another part of the truth is when we come together in a small group, and we're looking at the truth, as David refers to, as from the innermost being, when we're opening up our hearts and our souls and our lives, and we're really allowing the truth of who we are to be out there, then God can begin to work in it, because what's in the darkness is coming to the light.
So we help them take a next step, maybe, with some of this?
Yeah, but the other element is also going to be the time.
Oh, that's right.
This is going to take time.
Grace and truth.
There is a process, and nobody grows spiritually like in a microwave. So we're going to talk to you all the way through the series about the process of time and how things happen in a sequence, and there's an order to all this. So now we got an activity talking about process. We're going to take you through a little process where we want you to begin talking about your spiritual journey in a really small, easy, and safe way.
Yeah, because part of it is getting to know each other a little better and creating that environment where grace and truth can work. Okay? So here's the deal. In your participants guide, you'll see a question that's designed to help you get to know each other a little better and begin to tell a little bit of your story. And as you do that, it'll kind of give you a chance to connect. And we want you to do that for about 20-25 minutes. Really get a chance to kind of get around the circle and do that. So look in your participants guide, and it'll guide you into the process that you'll have. And we'll join you in about 25 minutes.
Well, we hope that debrief was good for you. You know, we also want to recognize it could have been hard because that's the first time you've really had to process things where there might be differences of opinions or preferences. Could have been hard for some of you to share. We don't know exactly what happened, but we know that that was real. It was from your hearts. And if it got a little messy, that's perfectly normal because you're really starting to process things.
Yeah, it's a little more personal, but that's meaningful when you do that as a group.
Yeah. So let's take a moment and just summarize what we've talked about ground rules. Basically, ground rules exist to guard and protect the habits, and so that the process of your group can go well. And the second thing is that ground rules just need to be clear and they need to be agreed upon by the whole group so everybody's on the same page. I like the way that you put it. You got to land the plane.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, well, that's a wrap for this session. And as we get to the next session, we want to give you a little insight as to what's coming. And what's coming is stuff about structure and kind of where you're headed. And because if you don't know that,
and how much you need it,
and how much if you don't know that, the group can get pretty chaotic.
It's about purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are we headed? What's our purpose? And what are some things to just agree upon again so that we're headed in the right direction?
It'll really help.
And here's a group. We're going to give you a little quick snapshot of next session by looking at a group that's absolutely not clear about. And they're having we'll call it a nightmare scenario. So watch this, and then we'll see you next time we get together.
Twister!
Yeah!
Twister for first timer.
Let's just say that our spiritual practice has evolved beyond that.
Something burning.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not blank.
I keep them to my place.
Want. I shall not want.